Konnichiwa, Nihon Cricket Pod do Yokoso. Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Japan Cricket Podcast. I'm your host, Alan Kerr, and on this episode I will once again be joined by the now regular guest, Dhugal Bedingfield, as we review the recently completed Under-23 Championship, the Japan Futures League, finished on the weekend, and we will preview the upcoming Japan Premier League, which starts this Friday, the 29th of April. And is available to watch on the JCA's YouTube channel. All games will be live streamed, so do tune in and have a look. Before we get to that, I will run through the recent results in round 2 of the Japan Cricket League Division One. The Paddy Foleys grabbed their first win of the season and their first win back in Division One. They had an excellent chase against Tokyo Wombats. The Wombats posted 248 for 5, courtesy of Alex Shirai Patmore, making 122, a career best for Alex, I believe, supported by Muhammad Ali, who made 46. And Paddy Foleys said about the chase, they looked in trouble early on, lost a couple of early wickets, but then Rashid Rana made 50 and an unbeaten 79 from Zahid Ullah was the mainstay of the chase. Ullah had also made a decent impact with the ball, bowled 8 overs, 1 for 19. To help restrict the Wombats to a chaseable score, as it turned out. So a good effort for the Paddy Foleys, and they won with 3 overs to spare, so no bonus point for them. The Wyverns had an excellent result in round 1, but it didn't quite go their way in round 2, despite a half-century from Wataru Miyauchi at the top of the order. He made 51, and they posted 216, but the Men in Blue have taken their early season win and maintained some momentum. Contributions all down the order. Top score 37 from Ankur Kumar, 35 not out from Hitesh Akabari led them home with 3 wickets and 3 overs to spare. So Men in Blue chased down 216. The Tigers Alpha Quashers match was washed out, so points shared for those guys. And Sano Cricket Club got off to their first win of the season. They beat the Tokyo Falcons by 79 runs. An excellent result for them. They were led by Reo Sakurano Thomas, made 41, batting at number 3. And Kazumasa Hirotsuka made 48 from 46 balls to propel them to 194. Looked like it might not be enough, given the runs that have been around at the start of the season, but some excellent bowling. Again, Sakurano Thomas took 2 for 14, while Shotaro Hirotsuka took 3 for 17, and Reiji Suto 3 for 14. To bowl the Falcons all out for 115 inside the 32 overs, so a bonus point for Sano. The Chiba Sharks weren't able to back up their win as Max bounced back from that stunning defeat at the hands of Shogo Kimura and his Wyverns team. Max rampant with the ball right from the start. They rolled the Sharks over for 113. Wickets shared around. And then they chased it down with consummate ease. They had 20 overs to spare still. Vinay Iyer, 44 not out, 43 not out from Prabhat Danushka. So Max are on the board with a win. Another team to get their first win of the season, and not just this season, but their first win, I think, since 2017. The Akashima Aviators have won a game in the Japan Cup. They beat the University 11 by 9 wickets, courtesy of 74 not out from Shunsuke Hashibara, a previous guest on this show. His 74 not out came off 47 deliveries, and he was supported by Masato Morita, who made 32 not out, a local boy from Akashima. In fact, both those guys live in the town. They chased down the Uni 11 score of 134 with 2.4 overs to spare and with 9 wickets to spare. So a huge win for them, and they are on the board for the season. West Kanto Division 2 of the Japan Cup. Shun, who has his own podcast as well, Chanomi Cricket, which everyone should check out if you're able to understand Japanese, also made 64 not out in a losing cause for Adare, who were beaten by Keio United first 11 in the JCL Division 3. So good couple of weeks for Shun, personally, even if there's only 1 win in those 2 games. So that completes the roundup for this week. And now we will tune in to listen to what Dhugal has to say about the Futures League and look ahead to the Japan Premier League. Hope you enjoy. Right then, it's time to start another chat with Mr. Dhugal Bedingfield, who's joining me once more on the Japan Cricket Podcast. Hi Dougal, how are you?
I'm great, Alan, and just coming off a fantastic weekend of Futures League cricket, watching our future stars in action. It was great fun.
Good weekend, wasn't it? Good weather, good turnout, and some good cricket played as well. So yeah, we'll get into that straight away, shall we? Before we go fully into the details of the games that were played, why don't you tell us a little bit about how the competition formed, where the ideas came from, and the purpose of it, and the future of it, I guess, the future of the Futures League.
Well, we've had the Japan Premier League running for a few years now, featuring the best players in Japan going head-to-head in 2020 cricket. And we've always been conscious of wanting to see who the best young players are as well, and having them beat against each other. So the concept arose. We had a very strong under-19 national squad going back a couple of years ago when we qualified for the World Cup, and those players are now going into their some of them into their early 20s, and we just thought it'd be great to see the best under 23 players in the country in action together on one weekend, and we put it together.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good opportunity. There's a lot of those kids who've graduated out of the 19s and maybe aren't quite ready to step up into the full men's squad. And along with that, you also get all these kids starting to play cricket for the first time in uni, right? Who we don't actually get to see competing on a level that they don't really play in the under 19s league. So they're starting the uni league, which is off for beginners, and then maybe they get thrown into Division One. So seeing them compete with kids their own age, it's an opportunity for them to learn and to see a little bit of what how they stack up against guys their age. So exciting to see those people all come together. And you think that it was obviously successful. You're obviously happy with how it went. Anyone who stand out?
Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting mix, as you say. We had players from our under 19 league, some of them still playing under 15 cricket.
Yeah,
we had players who've played cricket for the first time in our university leagues, and now representing the combined university 11s in Kansai and Kanto. We've had players who've gone to a World Cup, been in a World Cup already, and quite a few players coming from overseas, playing cricket in Japan for the first time, but with Japanese heritage and Japanese passports. So yeah, really interesting mix.
Yeah, I think we'll come on to the posse in a minute, the 5 or 6 guys who've come to visit, and we'll chat a little bit more about them, I think. But yeah, those groups, those players, they do make for quite an interesting bunch. And I think that now we've covered sort of the little bit of background. How about the putting together of the teams? You and I put a bit of work into this. The aim was to try and make the teams as even as possible. And nobody was unbeaten and everybody got a win. So happy with that?
Yeah, it was a tough task because we were trying to make the teams, as you say, as even as possible. And yeah, when you've got players who are, say, 21 years old and are already smashing the ball around at very high levels of club cricket, and you've also got
14, 15-year-olds.
14, 15-year-olds. It's very, very hard to match up the teams evenly, but I think we did a pretty good job in the end.
I reckon we did okay. We were pretty lucky in that we had 4 keepers, 4 spinners. I think we had 5 spinners in the end, but yeah, decent mix. And looking at the scores, I've just got the scores in front of me here. There were a number of games that nearly had, close to 300 runs scored. I think the lowest score in the whole tournament was 73. Yeah. So, it's T20 cricket. And playing 2 games a day, I think certainly some of the lowest scores came on day 2. I think boys starting to feel it really once you get to that 4th game in 2 days. Fatigue definitely plays a part. And I think playing that amount of cricket is part of preparing these boys for international tournaments because they are quite physically demanding.
Well, yeah. Having said all that, the last 2 matches, the final and the 3rd place, in the final, the 123 runs was chased down with 4 overs to spare. And in the 3rd place, 129 was chased down with 3.5 overs to spare. So those teams were looking at kind of 160-ish if they continued batting. So credit to the batsman for really standing up into that second day as well.
So you mentioned the final. I guess we'll start at the end, shall we? Talk us through the final. Talk us through the winning team, the Turtles, coached by Makoto Taniyama.
Yeah,
and some familiar names in there, as well as some, as you mentioned, some new guys standing up. So,
well, the Turtles have started off the tournament with a loss, and just as Turtles do, they start
slow and steady wins the race,
and they've absolutely smashed it in the final to finish with. So, yeah, working backwards, I suppose, a target of 123 to win, and you'd say it was a challenging pitch to bat on. And they've only lost one wicket in the process of chasing down that 123 with 4 overs to spare. That wicket was probably a needless run out as well. So the star of the final was one of our new faces, in fact, Declan Suzuki-McComb, who has finished on 78 off 51 balls.
6 to win it as well.
Yeah.
Bit of flair.
Yeah, and again, he didn't look like he was about to stop. The only thing that stopped him was they've won the game. He was on track for 100. Supported by Marcus Thurgate, a pretty good 20, and 15-year-old cousin of Stafford, who had an outstanding tournament, I thought, with 14 not out in the final.
Yeah, coasting pretty well. I mean, you look at the bowlers, it's not a bad bowling lineup. You got Kazumasa Hiratsuka, you got Lachlan Lake, Nikhil Paul, Manav Natarajan, Luke Bates. These are all guys in the Japan Academy setup. So, decent players and as you say, not the easiest pitch to bat on. So boys did pretty well.
Yeah. And that Gorillas bowling lineup was the one that, went through the Vipers, in the third round, bowling Vipers out for about 70, I think. So yeah, very good bowling lineup. So yeah, quality cricket, I thought, in the final and the third place playoff as well. The standard continued to rise over the course of the weekend. Good to see.
Yeah, Gorillas Vipers, they did. It was so from day one, the Vipers were the team to beat. 1, 2 out of 2, led by Rael Sakurano Thomas and Kento Otodobel, were the stars really on day one. And then the Vipers came unstuck. Coach Richie Bracefield was pretty confident at the end of day one that they'd be in a commanding position, but they were ripped apart by Kazumasa Hiratsuka. Took 3 for 8 to bowl them all out for 70, but that win was really set up by the innings of the tournament. I guess Lachlan Lake, someone that we've known about for a few years, but finally got the chance to see him in action. He's made 90 off 56, playing an awful lot of switch hits and reverses, and kind of joked afterwards he was finding it easier to bat left-handed. So he's a pretty talented player, Lachlan.
Yeah, I think he bats better left-handed than I do right-handed, which is a bit annoying. But I think he's going to have a good international career by the look of it. He was probably a level above the other batsmen in this tournament, and did a good job of captaining as well. It'd be interesting to see how he goes in the JPL the following weekend against probably older and more experienced bowlers.
Yeah, we'll talk a bit more about these guys, as I said, a little bit later on. But some good other performances. You mentioned Kaz Stafford, another kid who's come over and really stood out, I felt, as a 15-year-old. I mean, you think you've got the stats in front of you there, but he's taken wickets, scored runs, and looked very comfortable, and was there as a vice captain in one of the teams and a future leader potentially in the group of his age group.
Yeah, for a 15-year-old to really finish in the top 3 wicket takers and top 6 run scorers is a pretty good effort. As I said, he's 15. He's playing in an under-23 tournament. So that would suggest that he also has a pretty bright future as well.
A couple of other standout players, I thought. Aditya Phadke made a few runs. He's another youngster. Thought he looked pretty good at times.
He also took 4 for 4 in a match following his
I didn't know it.
time off spin.
I didn't know he bowled.
I don't think he knew he bowled either. No, joking there, but I think he surprised a few of his teammates with his.
I hadn't been following, but had he bowled in the tournament before that game?
No, I think that was his first first
I
fault.
just thought they'd give him a go, and suddenly he's got the best figures of the tournament.
I think he does, yeah. 4 for 4. Yeah, the Dragons, I think, were lamenting that they only had the one spinner, and so they were looking for another one, and that was Adichie. So interesting to see if his club team used him as the same role.
Turn to him, yeah. Someone else who stood out, another youngster. He's only 15 as well. Nikhil Paul, someone that we've talked about in the podcast before.
I think he's younger than that.
I think he might be 14. Yeah.
Yep.
Again, he made a few runs. Was opening the batting and the bowling for the Gorillas, which I thought was, a big vote of confidence. His coach Vinay Iyer, obviously a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. He took on a lot of responsibility in that team too for a 14-year-old batting at the top and then with the new ball. So he looks like he's going to be a player, Nikhil Paul. But I think a few people already knew that. So really look forward to how he's going to perform for his club team this year.
One who I thought had a couple of good games. Seeing him return to form with the bat, Ashley Thurgate actually made a few runs over the course of the tournament. A teammate of yours, of course, at the Chiba Sharks. Pretty happy with how he went?
Yeah, he. I think his batting's well suited to 2020 cricket. He likes to get on with it from ball one.
Can clear the ropes.
Absolutely. He's been pushing quite a few weights of late, and he's actually muscled up a bit. So yeah, definitely capable of clearing the ropes. So yeah, a good little confidence boost for him. Hopefully, pitching third leading run scorer for the tournament. So pretty good efforts.
Didn't actually notice that.
Yeah.
And we've mentioned him already, but really great to see Kazumasa Hiratsuka back, taking a lot of wickets. I think he was second or third leading wicket taker. And he made a few runs, probably not as many as he would have liked, but just good to see him back out there and amongst these boys.
Yeah, he was back close to his best with the ball, I thought. Only went for 3.8 runs per over and really held together that Gorillas bowling attack. So, yeah, I think everyone was pretty happy to see him back out there.
And lastly, someone who stood out, I think, just a touch for me was Arav Tiwari. Got a funny little stutter at the beginning of his run-up when he comes in, but picked up a few wickets as the tournament went on and looked good in the field. And I thought he looks like an interesting prospect as well. He was very, very athletic.
Yeah, he's quite athletic and he's got some good height, and I think he's going to go quite well. Certainly in junior cricket, but also I think he'll get opportunities playing senior cricket as well in the not too distant future. Looks a good prospect.
Yeah, so last team we haven't mentioned, just the Dragons, coached by Sabarish Ravichandran. Finished third in the end and helped. We mentioned Ash already, but Jishay Andor was another player who stood up for them at the end. They only won the one game, but they got a win when it mattered to make sure they didn't finish bottom.
Yep.
Andor's another kid who's been around the academy setup for a couple of years and was pretty impressed with how he batted.
Yeah, he's probably been regarded, I guess, as a bowling all-rounder, but I think there's some real potential there with the bat for Andor. So looking forward to working with him in the nets and hopefully see him scoring more runs in the future. He's moved to Tokyo for his university, so plenty of opportunities. I believe he's playing for the Max Cricket Club.
For Max Cricket Club, yeah. So I guess where you see here the benefit of these clubs that have multiple teams in the JCL. So for someone like Andor, he's, like I say, he just moved to Tokyo. It's his first year playing cricket at that level. Division One's quite, straight into it. It can be quite tough, and sometimes perhaps the opportunity to play a couple of second 11 games just to, get yourself adjusted to that level, having come through in the university system and school system in Kansai might be useful. But I guess throwing you in at the deep end, you learn a bit about them as well.
It's just a bit tough to break into that Max top six. I hope Captain Supun gives him some opportunities there.
Be having a word this here.
Yeah, definitely.
So what are the main takeaways from this event? I mean, like we said, it was 4 teams, everyone played each other, and then into the final and the third place playoff. Planned to take place a week before the Japan Premier League, which enables everyone to play both and get a good concerted amount of cricket in. Played on the turf wickets. As you mentioned, it's the first time perhaps a lot of those kids have even played on the turf wickets, and then don't see a lot of that in the 15s and 19s and university leagues. So a good opportunity there. And I think we're happy enough that this will be a tournament that we look to schedule every year. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I think the main takeouts from that is we're looking perhaps stronger than we thought we were at certain levels. For example, those 19, 20-year-olds pushing for selection into the Japan men's team, our under-19 World Cup qualifying campaign for next year. I think there's some really good young kids around that 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old age range, and some really enthusiastic, talented young under-15 kids coming through as well. We're not scared to mix in with the older lads.
Yeah, I think one couple that stood out, Tom O'Rears, I think just turned 14 the day before the tournament started. Was one of the youngest there, and definitely not overawed by being around that group, and threw himself around the field. Got a couple of certainly one direct hit run out that I saw, and being able to contribute like that is really encouraging for the future, I think.
Yeah, and probably a couple of really exciting players pushing for selection into our Japan men's team as well. You already mentioned Rio Sakurano Thomas, who I thought was probably all-round game, looked as good as anyone.
Captaining as well.
Yeah, definitely. He with the ball, he bowled with really good pace, I thought, which I always like seeing. He's gone for 2.3 and over his economy rate. Just took the 4 wickets, but as we all know in 2020 cricket, you've just got to score more runs than the other team. So bowlers with a 2.3 economy rate, we like them, and he's scored the 4th most amount of runs for the tournament as well. He looks really solid.
And he actually didn't bowl in one of the games because he wrapped up batting too long and had to give himself a rest. Yeah. So maybe could have got some more poles if he wanted to.
Speaking of pace, for Ryan Drake for the Dragons bowled some serious pace as well that a lot of people commented on. It didn't quite click for taking bags of wickets, but I'm sure it will in the not too distant future.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, we've come to that group nicely then. We've got Reo, as we've mentioned already. He's come to live in Japan and has joined the JCL staff, which is fantastic. Coming from a half Japanese, half New Zealand background. And then we've had a whole group of 6 boys fly over to join in with the cricket, all from similar backgrounds, most with a Japanese mother and Aussie father. And there's Luke Anai Bates, who has an English father and lives in the UK. So those guys, 5 of them, all staying in the global guest house down in Sano and getting to know each other for the first time, and had an amusing conversation with Rayo after Thursday, after the boys all arrived in Sano. And he says to me, I've never met another half Japanese person before I came to Japan, and I've just met 5 in one day.
Yeah.
It shows there's a lot of talent out there that we might not necessarily know about. And really exciting to bring all these guys over to have such a concentrated amount of cricket. The Futures League's 2 days, Japan Premier League's 3 days, and then they're all going to be joining in a training camp for 3 days after. So 8 days of cricket for them, which is a lot, and a good chance for us to run the rule over them. And as you mentioned, we've got Rayo already, we've talked about. Cal Stafford at 15, Declan Suzuki McComb, Kento Otodobel, who we know about already because he's played, Luke Anai Bates, and of course, Lachlan Lake and Ryan Drake. So, Ryan, the fast bowler from Sydney, Lachlan, the wonder bat from Perth, and they're all 18, 19 years old. So, certainly shows a bright future. And you think that those guys contributed a lot in the Futures League to bringing up standards, showing a bit of leadership, and just a bit of experience of playing more cricket, because those guys have come from countries where they'll grow up in where cricket is just part of the infrastructure, whereas in Japan it's still working on that, still trying to get those kids up to that level. So I think having those boys around really lifted things. Did you see that throughout the 2 days?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just still amazed that there are that many young kids with an Aussie dad and a Japanese mum who are seriously good cricketers. I never would have thought that there would be that many, but yeah, as it turns out, there are.
And more to come by the sounds of things. You know, we didn't even manage to get all the ones we know about over. And it's been a bit of I wouldn't say a global scouting mission. These guys have reached out to us mostly. And a lot of that came off the back of the under-19 success, qualifying for the World Cup. Suddenly people are like, oh, Japan plays cricket. I've got a kid who's half Japanese.
Kento Altidabel was probably the poster boy, I guess.
Yeah.
Guys. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, okay. Well, moving ahead then, that gives us a nice segue into what's coming next. The Japan Premier League coming up. All those boys will be on display again. Expecting the standards to be up. I thought overall the standard at the Futures League was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the CEO this morning, actually, was saying how it reminded him of some of the high school baseball tournaments where, you know, it's almost easier to get more into it because you're very forgiving of the mistakes that people make because they're kids and you don't necessarily expect kids to take every catch or play the best shots. And you might expect them to bowl the odd wide, but you're very forgiving of that. And it's all about looking for the next talented player. And he said he probably watched more cricket over the last 2 days than he has done in a long time because he was genuinely really interested in seeing these players and was suitably enthused by it as well. So that was all very positive. And I think that moving into the JPL, most of these boys we're talking about are bowlers. And I think they'll all be hoping for a few more catches to get taken off their bowling, perhaps.
Yeah, the standard will go up, that's for sure. For those who don't know, the Japan Premier League is played in a 2020 format with 5 teams. These are representative teams from our 5 strongest regions that host what's called the Japan Cup 2020. So, for example, the East Kanto Sunrise is one of the teams selecting their team from 13 Japan Cup teams. So there's plenty of players to choose from. And the best ones make it into the squads.
Just the process on that, whilst we're on it, because I know we do get messages about this. The clubs nominate players to the Japan Premier League Regional Selection Committee.
Yep.
The selection committee then has to put that squad of 15?
14.
14. Put squad of 14 to you, who then rubber stamps it. And there are certain age requirements as well. I want to say 5 players under 23.
That's right. Each of the squads of 14 has 5 players under 23. So those 19-year-old boys who we were talking about, they've gone from being the senior members of their Futures League teams to being very much the junior members of their JPL teams, which will be interesting too.
Yeah, definitely. And is there a cap on age as well?
A cap on age?
A limit in terms of number of players over a certain age?
No, just out of the 14, you need 5 under the age of 23. So we have, I think we have 2 40-year-olds playing in the tournament, both on the same team, I believe.
So you're telling me I am still eligible to play?
Yeah.
I just need to get myself picked. Nominated first.
When was your last game of cricket and how were your stats last year?
Yeah, I played in the social league, Sunday Social League, 6-a-side.
How did that go?
I went okay. I could hit the ball off the tee pretty well. So does that count?
Look, I'll come and watch you play next time, and we'll talk about
next
year.
Next year. Okay.
All right. Maybe just stick to the umpiring at this stage.
And you're not playing this year. You're coaching.
No, I didn't play last year either.
You did get on the field last year. I saw you.
I was a reserve last year, a sub fielder, combined with the coach, and this year I'm doing none of that. I'm just the coach of the East Kanto Sunrisers.
So, okay, we'll touch quickly on coaches because actually we mentioned 4 guys who stood in during the Futures League: Vinay Iyer, Subhash Ravichandran, Max Taniyama, and Richie Bracefield. All part of the JCA's initiative to try and develop more coaches, and I thought those guys did a fantastic job. And you got some coaches in place for the Japan Premier League as well. Yourself, you mentioned East Kanto. Who else is doing it?
Oh yeah, I'll just highlight a couple. So our good friend of the podcast, Tomoki Ota, has taken on the job of coaching the West Kanto Hurricanes. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Former national team player and senior pro for a long time.
Yeah. And one other coach I'll mention, actually they've been doing a lot of coaching with the Japan women's team. Bebe Miyagi will be coaching the North Kanto Lions. So it's also an interesting appointment there as well.
Yeah, you should know a lot of those players pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. So definitely looking to raise the standards of our coaches across our national tournaments as well.
Yeah, so looking back to last year, I guess we'll give us a bit of context to the JPL before we go into discussing a little bit of the team by team. Last year, the West Kanto Hurricanes, you just mentioned, were champions. Your own team just fell short in the final. I know North Kanto finished 5th. I forget who finished 3rd. You're going to have to help me out.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone. Either Kansai or
South Kanto.
I think South Kanto finished 3rd.
Yes.
And South Kanto, of course, have a rich tradition in this competition. They've won it more times than anyone. Right?
They have. They started very, very well. I think won the first 4 of them. So I think some of the other teams probably caught up to them since then, and which is good. The East Kanto Sunrisers are certainly a stronger team than they used to be. And West Kanto will always compete pretty hard as well. I'd say even this year, the North Kanto Lions are going to be quite a good team as well. Kansai Chargers, they probably have got a few players out that they'd like to select, but again, they're going to compete as well.
So looking at we'll start at North Kanto then, since you mentioned them, and we'll start from the bottom up. Players to watch?
Players to watch. Well, we just talked about Lockie Lake. So I think his batting is going to be on display again, and just looking for that range of shots. He's got a few more tricks than most of the other batsmen.
Yeah, it's definitely can score 360s from what I saw.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're going to be kind of a young side this year, right?
Yeah.
The Hiratsuka boys both playing.
Yeah, in fact, we've got seven under 23s in that North Kanto Lions squad, which is great to see.
Energy in the field.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so Kansai, I presume we'll see the usual suspects there: Taniyama, Wada, Wakita, Yamashita.
Yeah, yep. Some of the same faces we saw last year. Ryan Drake's added to that squad this year as well to bring some speed with a new ball.
Sunny Singh in the squad.
Sonny Singh is in the squad.
Yeah, he
very
was
good player.
Good last year.
Yeah, so with the Kansai Chargers, I think their bowling is going to be very strong. So no one's questioning that. It's whether they can put together a winning total with the bat is the question. So we're really looking for Benzo Wada to stand up. Can he stand up in a JPL tournament and contribute some serious runs?
I've already forgotten the name of the guy, which is terrible. Who scored 149 in round 1 of the Japan Cup this year. Has he got in?
No, he
He missed the cut.
Yeah.
Made his runs after the selection deadline.
No, he definitely wanted to play. We'll just bring up his name in a minute. I've forgotten as well. Yeah, he couldn't make it for this tournament. But
unavailable.
I reckon he'll be around next year.
Yeah,
for the tournament. Yeah,
everyone's got to score that big behind you. Kind of demanding selection, aren't you?
That's right.
And South Kanto then, obviously going to be led by Sabaris Ravichandran, who we've seen produce the goods on more than one occasion in this competition. Has often walked away with awards. His batting and his bowling incredibly effective in T20 cricket. Who else to look for this year?
From South Kanto, Alex Patmore back in the squad.
We have to call him Alex Shirai Patmore now.
Alex Shirai Patmore. Yeah. So I think he's going to be a key player for them this year.
Missing day one?
I believe he might be missing day one, but he'll certainly be an important player for them. I think Luke Bates is going to be an important bowler for them coming in. We didn't see his best in the Futures League, but I just think he's going to bowl well on the JPL. He's a wily customer.
Luke and I Bates.
Yes, Luke and I Bates. And Piyush Kumbari has started the season really well. So
Yeah, he has.
I think he's going to bowl well.
Yeah, I think he enjoys playing on the Yoshi decks, what I've seen.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that brings us to your team. Now, off air, you have been waxing lyrical about the strength of the East Kanto squad. So, come on then, you've not made the cut yourself, so there must be some pretty good players there.
Yeah, we had to leave out a few players. We left out some very good players, actually. So, a few guys were unlucky. Our fast bowling looks really strong this year. So, we've added Naveen Negi.
Yeah, that's a useful addition
to the squad. He joins Malath Niranjan, who was a key player for us last year. So we've got that left-hand, right-hand pace combination. And yeah, in support of that, Kento Altadabel, Maneeb Siddiq, Dinesh Sanaruan, they're all quality fast bowlers. So we think we're strong in that area. And with the batting as well, Supun Navaratna and Ibrahim Takahashi were a pretty good open batting pair last year. We've added Kasun Ganesh from the Scuba Cricket Club, who's looking really good, and we think he's going to have a strong tournament as well. Tsuyoshi Takada is a mainstay there in our middle order, so we think we're strong there. We've got some young spinners, Manav Natarajan and Ash Thurgate, so if they can hold their own, I think we're looking pretty good.
And that brings us to the defending champions, West Kanto Hurricanes. Finally got their first title last year. They were led very much by the runs of Vinay Iyer last year. Is he going to be able to back that up?
Yeah, he was scoring runs for fun last year, wasn't he?
He was.
Well, I think he's going to need to, because the West Kanto Hurricanes are not going to have it their own way this time around. There's plenty of other teams that want to knock them off. Shogo Kimura's started the season in fine style as well. Rahil Khan's looking pretty good. So you've got some batsmen there. But do they have the fast bowling? That's my question.
Mm-hmm.
How's their bowling going to stand up? So a lot of pressure, I think, on some of their bowlers. Young Sora Ichiki had a fantastic tournament last year. So he's a key bowler for them, even at the age of 20 or 21. How old is he? 20?
I reckon he's 20. Yeah, he must be 20.
And I think Kazuma Stafford's a really good addition for their bowling as well. So I think he's going to go well, but yeah, can't just leave it on the shoulders of the 15-year-old. Need a few of the other boys to stand up with the ball, I think.
So, where's your money? Not that we bet on cricket.
No, we certainly don't bet on cricket, no.
But if you were to put some money on cricket, who would you be recommending the punters back for this particular tournament?
Well, I'm biased. I'm one of the coaches. So, of course, I think my team's going to win.
Yeah, you got a pretty good shout, I reckon. I'm just looking through these full squads. I reckon they look pretty even. I don't think there's any team that really looks like they're going to struggle. I think you're right with the batting at the Chargers. Perhaps looks a bit light, but I mean, Makoto Taniyama took 5 for 2 in one game last year. So he's going to enjoy playing on these pitches again. And
two very good leg spinners, the Kansai Chargers, and Junior Mushta's off spin, Ryan Drake fast bowling. Yeah, the bowling's okay.
Yeah.
I think the Sunrisers will go well, and I think the Lions might spring a few surprises, and I'm tipping them to make the final as well.
Yeah, this is very boring. I suppose I probably shouldn't just say the same as you, but looking at it, east and north, I do like the look at them, but I think it'll be east v south. I think south are quite motivated. They do like this event. I think they'll push pretty hard. Looking at the players left out does give a bit of a hint of the strength of the teams. And yeah, you guys are leaving out former JPL batsman of the tournament 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And South Kanto are leaving out Muhammad Ali, so anyone who can leave him out must be pretty good. So I fancy East v South final. And of course, this tournament is being streamed. All the games are being streamed, Ground 1 and Ground 2. So the JCL YouTube channel is the place to be. Keep track of all the games and follow the scores on the JCA app, Japan Cricket app, if you can't get onto the YouTube channel. But yeah, you must be pretty excited about it.
Oh, I love the JPL. Very excited, and looking forward to watching the best players in Japan go at it again.
Definitely. Weather's looking a little bit patchy.
No, I think the weather will be fine at this stage. Who knows, though? We're talking 5 days out, 4 days out.
So it's been beautiful today. It just needs to stay like this.
I think it's going to be cool with just a couple of passing showers, but nothing to worry about.
Yeah, we've got some top umpires out, of course. Got the best umpires in Japan for this tournament, so we'll be they'll be on top of all that sort of stuff. And yeah, looking forward to it. Hope everyone else is too. Thanks for joining us, Dukes. Thanks for the chat. And hope everyone enjoys this preview, and we will speak to you again in due course. All right, that concludes this episode of the Japan Cricket Podcast. I hope everyone enjoyed it. If you have the time, as always, please remember to review or rate the show on whichever platform you get your podcasts, and keep on supporting Japan Cricket in any way you can. Best way to do that is to watch the live stream of the JPL this weekend, comment on our YouTube videos, Instagram posts, Twitter feeds, Facebook pages, and just keep getting the message out there about Japan Cricket. Thanks very much, and I'll speak to you again soon. Arigatou gozaimashita.